In a world where the term climate change has become a household phrase, the urgency of the issue cannot be overstated. We find ourselves at a pivotal moment in human history, facing a problem of unprecedented magnitude. Climate change, often referred to as global warming, is not just an environmental concern. It's a complex and far reaching challenge that affects every facet of our lives. Today, we have an incredible solution to share with you, one that showcases the power of nature in combating climate change and nurturing creativity. We're here to discuss a revolutionary concept: algae-based carbon capture and using algae biomass to produce dyes and paints for school projects. Algae have the incredible ability to capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through photosynthesis. They are photosynthetic eukaryotic organisms that can be either unicellular or multicellular.
Algae not only reduces CO2 levels but also produce valuable biomass that can be repurposed for various applications. In fact, 1.8 kilograms of CO2 can be absorbed per 1 kilogram of algae.
Therefore, the first part of our project involves algae-based carbon capture. This is feasible for a lot of different sectors. It can be used on a small scale in schools or homes and at a larger scale in industries.
Algae are fairly easy to grow. All this process requires is a small sample of algae from any nearby pond or lake, a nutrient formula containing salts and sugars, and water. Within 30 days, it is possible to have a full-grown set of algae.
These algae immediately absorb carbon dioxide once they start growing. What makes this approach especially advantageous is the fact that it is cheap and sustainable for schools as well as industries.
In fact, industries can place these algae within their chimneys and exhausts since algae are capable of absorbing the CO2 emitted. This can potentially reduce the harmful gases released. Additionally, when algae photosynthesize, they produce biomass. This biomass can be harvested and processed to extract valuable materials. Synthetic dyes and paints heavily contribute to climate change. An estimated 280,000 tons of synthetic dyes are discharged in nearby industrial water areas globally every year. The production of synthetic dyes often involves the release of volatile organic compounds and other air pollutants. These emissions contribute to air quality problems and can have adverse health effects on nearby communities. Some synthetic dyes are derived from non-renewable resources, such as petroleum-based chemicals, and their manufacturing processes generate waste in the form of unused chemicals, sludge, and other byproducts.
Therefore, our solution involves the creation of natural dyes and paints from algae biomass. They provide a fantastic opportunity to learn about sustainability and creativity simultaneously.
To test out this idea, we made use of the algae spirulina, a green-colored algae in powdered form to create the aforementioned dye and paint. Do keep in mind that this dye extraction can be performed with various algae of multiple colors, such as brown from Phaeophyta and red from Rhodophyta. The powdered algae was mixed with acetone and then evaporated to obtain colored dye. Then, linseed oil was added to the dye as a binder medium to give it a texture similar to oil paint.
However, there were certain limitations to our experimentation process. For starters, we used spirulina, a unicellular organism. This had affected the quantity and intensity of the dye that we had obtained. To achieve more feasible results, it is recommended to use multicellular algae, for example, kelp and brown algae. These would produce a larger amount of dye and paint intended for school use. But we have learned from these mistakes and intend to produce paint for our school for primary students to use. Now, the real question is, how can schools benefit from this idea?
Schools can set up small-scale algae farms, teaching students about biology and sustainability. The harvested biomass can then be used to create colorful dyes for paints and art projects, fostering creativity while imparting essential lessons about environmental responsibility.
Before we wrap up, remember, you can be a part of this change. Advocate for algae-based carbon capture and inspire your local schools to adopt to this sustainable approach.
In conclusion, combating climate change through algae-based carbon capture while nurturing creativity with algae-derived dyes and paints is a win-win situation for our planet and for children's education.
So, Let's work together to create a greener, more colorful future.